ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to Wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. As you all know, we are on now 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is the final chapter, the longest chapter with 78 verses, and which is named as Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. And in English, Srila Prabhupada has named it as Conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. So last week we covered the first 28 verses of this chapter. It's a long chapter, so we are covering the verses at a little bit rapid pace. We want to complete this chapter in one more session, like today, and then next session, 3 sessions total. So we saw in the last session that Arjuna asked a question: what is the purpose of renunciation and sannyas? What is the goal? Why why one should do sannyas or renunciation? So Lord Shri Krishna has explained that in like quite details. So he explains who is a true sannyasi. So he mentions, the Lord mentions that a true sannyasi uh, does not renounce the work itself, but he's detached from the results or the fruits of the work. And Lord concludes that the renounce order of life, sannyas, and the renunciation of fruit of action, which is tyaga, they are actually the same. But because we are a spirit soul, and it is very difficult for us to remain idle. So we will have to actually do some work. So that is why Krishna is recommending that instead of taking sannyas or renouncing the work itself, renouncing the result or the fruits of work is much easier for all those who are embodied. So then he explains that if we do the work, then it will bind us, and we will remain in the cycle of birth, old age, death, and disease. So he mentioned that work performed as duty without attachment to the result is renunciation, which is in mode of goodness. And such renunciation, if we actually do our work in that particular way, offering the results to the Lord, then such work doesn't bind us. The main reason for binding is we think that we are the doer. So Krishna explains that there are 5 um, parts of the action. So he mentioned that there is adhisthana, then there is karta, there is karana, there is cheshta, and then there is daivam. So adhisthana means what is the place of action. Karta means the doer. Karana means senses or the tools, whatever that we are using uh, for doing that work. And cheshta means endeavor. And daivam means the like our destiny, but which is controlled by the Supreme Lord, Super Soul. So Daivam is also referring here to the Supreme Lord, Super Soul. So out of all these 5 factors in play for doing an action, the Super Soul is the main cause. The action, if it is done under the direction of the Super Soul, then one will be unaffected by the results of the action. So this is what the Lord has mentioned. And then everything in the world, the Lord mentions that everything in the world is dictated by the 3 modes of material nature. So he explains that how the knowledge is is also under the three modes. The work itself is in three modes. The worker is in three modes. So all of that we have seen in the last session. Now we are going to see the understanding in three modes, the determination in three modes, and happiness in three modes. So let us see. And then in the end, once we have seen all of these, we will try to connect all of these things that in the three modes that Lord is explaining to us. Okay. So just like last week, we are going to take some verses in batches. Like now we will start from 29th verse and we'll read till 32 verses, 29 to 32. So four verses we will see, and then someone can read those translations together for four verses. Let us begin. Verse number 29. बुद्धेर्भेदं धृतेश्चैव गुणतस्त्रिविधं शृणु प्रोच्यमानम् अशेषेण पृथक्त्वेन धनञ्जय प्रवृत्तिं च निवृत्तिं च कार्याकार्ये भयाभये बन्धं मोक्षं च या वेत्ति बुद्धिः सा पार्थ सात्विकी यया धर्मम् अधर्मं च कार्यं चाकार्यमेव च अयथावत् प्रजानाति बुद्धिः सा पार्थ राजसी अधर्मं धर्ममिति या मन्यते तमसावृता सर्वार्थान् विपरीतांश्च बुद्धिः सा पार्थ तामसी. Who wants to read? Okay. Uma Mataji, Vidushi Mataji, then Surananda Prabhu, and then Pamendra Prabhu. In that order, we can do.
Hare Krishna. Oh, 29. Let's just start.
From
Oh,
29.
O winner of wealth, now please listen as I tell you in detail of the different kinds of understanding and determination according to the three modes of material nature. O son of Pratha, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. O son of Pratha, that understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is in the mode of passion. That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion under the spell of illusion and darkness and strives always in the wrong direction. O Partha is in the mode of ignorance. Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. So here, the Lord is explaining the understanding in three modes. Now, interestingly, the Lord has already explained us the knowledge in three modes before. So now, is that different from what he's explaining here? What is the difference between knowledge and understanding? So jnana and buddhi, or jnana and here understanding is mentioned. And in the verses, the word uses buddhi. So what is the difference between jnana and buddhi, knowledge and understanding? Can anyone explain what is the difference between these two? Yes, Surananda Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, knowledge, I feel like it's theoretical knowledge. Understanding is once we observe it and start following it.
Yeah, very close. So knowledge or jnana means actually it gives when the jnana is there, we understand the things as they are. And buddhi means we can understand its proper perspective. For example, if I show you a knife and say that this is a knife and this has a sharp edge and it can cut things, and all of this is part of the jnana or knowledge. But buddhi means when to use it, how to use it, and where to use it and where not to use it. All of that is part of understanding, the buddhi. So the guns are there everywhere, but the soldiers will use them to protect, whereas the terrorists will use them to kill innocent people. So that is the difference, because the understanding is not there how to use this item. That is why people are misusing it. But whereas those who have the proper understanding, they will actually use it properly. So just having a knowledge is not enough. We need to have the understanding how we can utilize it. Another good example is we are not this body, but we are spirit soul. This is knowledge. This is jnana. But understanding is, now that we have known that we are not this body but spirit soul, what should we do? What are some of the activities that we have to do as a spirit soul? We have been actually doing all our activities, understanding that we are body. But now that we know that, okay, we are not this body but spirit soul, what are the life changes in our life that we have to do? We have to do. And that is coming from understanding of the scriptures, understanding of this knowledge. So Srila Prabhupada has given this big purports for all of us, is to actually give us that understanding. It is like the Bhagavad Gita verses will actually give us this jnana, knowledge, but how to apply that in our day-to-day life, Srila Prabhupada is giving that understanding to us through his purports. So that is why it is important to actually read the purports. So in this Wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita sessions, we are not actually reading the purports fully. I'm actually giving you some important points from the purports and giving you some practical tips from there. But I highly recommend all of you to improve your understanding by reading the purports. So we are going to actually finish the Bhagavad Gita, this Wisdom of Bhagavad Gita session in one more session. But that is not the end. It is not that now you can actually just close the Bhagavad Gita book, keep it in the bookshelf and say that I have done it. No, actually Bhagavad Gita is the book which you can read multiple times. And especially you should read it cover to cover, from beginning to end, including everything. And that will improve your understanding. So this understanding will keep on improving every time you read Bhagavad Gita. So here, the Lord is giving us the understanding in three modes. So the understanding in goodness, how is that? So one who knows what is to be done and what is not to be done. So actually these three levels of understanding, how they are. So in mode of goodness, you have correct understanding. In mode of passion, you are confused. What is to be done, what is not to be done, it is confused. So if mode of passion itself is confusion, what will happen to mode of ignorance? It is completely opposite. So they don't understand that they are confused. In ignorance, they are illusioned, and they have opposite understanding than the real right understanding. So what is not to be done, they think that that must be done. And they don't even think that it is the wrong thing that they are doing, because their understanding is completely wrong. So mode of goodness is one knows what is to be done, what is not to be done, what is to be feared, what is not to be feared, what is binding, what is liberating. And because they have this understanding, they will choose rightly. Whereas person in mode of passion, he has this confusion. They cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion. What action should be done, what action is not to be done. And you can see this from Arjuna's case. In the first chapter, he was explaining that what is Kula Dharma, what is Kshatriya Dharma. But after explaining all of these things, he said that I don't know what to do. So having the knowledge of Kula Dharma or having the knowledge of Kshatriya Dharma was not enough. You have to understand when to choose what. So this understanding then Lord Shri Krishna gave to him. But mode of ignorance understanding is completely opposite. It is the understanding of Duryodhana. It is the understanding of Ravana. It is the understanding of Kamsa or Hiranyakashipu. They think irreligion is religion, and religion to be irreligion. And they are completely under the spell of illusion. And they strives in the wrong direction. It doesn't say that they are going in the wrong direction. They are striving for the wrong direction. They are actually wanting to go in the wrong direction. So this is how some people are. And we may think, oh, Ravana or Hiranyakashipu or these like big demons, and that is why they were going into the wrong direction. But if we actually slowly observe our activities, then we may see that sometimes our understanding is in, for some situation is in goodness, sometimes we are confused, we are in passion, and sometimes we are going into the wrong direction without understanding. So this is how we ourselves would exhibit these modes at different times and in different situations. And when we start observing the people around us as well, we will see many people, because as you know, it is very difficult to find faults in ourselves. But when we actually look at other people, we can easily find those faults in others. We can say, ah, this understanding of this other person is completely in ignorance. But the other person can point out that in us. But anyway, don't mention that to others. But if you observe and you understand that, oh, this particular action or understanding, it looks to be in ignorance. Now you actually observe yourself by doing like this, that, okay, if this action is in ignorance, this understanding is in ignorance, this charity is in ignorance, then this determination is in ignorance, then are there any other factors which I am doing similar to that person? And then that will actually help us. So all of this goodness, passion, ignorance that we are learning, remember, we are not learning it for pointing faults in others. This should not be utilized for saying that, hey, this is completely in passion, this is in ignorance. This is for introspection. Introspect and improve. We know that this particular, our action is in passion, ignorance. We also know what is the right thing to do in goodness. So we can move from ignorance and passion to goodness. So introspect and improve, introspect and improve. So that is why we are reading this and we are understanding this. As I mentioned last week, whenever we are actually giving this slide like this, where goodness, passion, and ignorance are mentioned, I'm not creating another slide for practical learning, because what we are mentioning is that give up this passion and ignorance activities and move towards goodness minimum, because we want to actually go beyond goodness, but at least we have to come to goodness. So if we have this passion and ignorance uh, characteristics, then we should try to move towards goodness. Okay, so moving on. So we are going now to 33 and 35, which is explaining the determination. So having the understanding is not enough. If we have some understanding, to keep doing action with that understanding in that particular direction, there is determination that is required. So this determination is also in three modes. So we'll read 33 to 35. धृत्या यया धारयते मनः प्राणेन्द्रियक्रियः योगेना अव्यभिचारिण्या धृति सा पार्थ सात्विकी यया तु धर्मकामार्थान् धृत्या धारयते अर्जुन प्रसंगेन फलाकांक्षी धृति सा पार्थ राजसी यया स्वप्नं भयं शोकं विषादं मदमेव च न विमुञ्चति दुर्मेधा धृति सा पार्थ तामसी.
O son of Partha, that determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness of yoga practice, and which thus controls the activities of the mind, life, and sense, is determination in the mode of goodness. But that determination by which one holds fast to fruitive results in religion, economic development, and sense gratification is of the nature of passion, O Arjuna. And that determination, which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness, and illusion, such unintelligent determination, O son of Pritha, is in the mode of darkness. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So here the Lord is explaining the determination in the three modes. So the determination in goodness, it is unbreakable. It is sustained by yoga practice. So this determination is unbreakable because the person is also engaged in yoga practice. That is why he has this unbreakable determination. And he control the activities of mind, life, and senses. So that is how his determination is steady. Now, the person in good passion also has steady determination, but that determination is focused on fruitive activities. So he is desiring fruitive results in religion, dharma, artha, and kama. So religion, economic development, and sense gratification, that is their purpose. Even if they are doing some religious activities with determination, the goal is that I will get some economic benefit, I will be rich, I will get some Lakshmi, and then artha, kama, then it is sense gratification. I will utilize it for my own sense enjoyment. So for that, they will do quite a lot of effort. So they will be very determined to do this. But whereas the person in mode of ignorance, they cannot go beyond the dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness, illusion. So these five negative things which are mentioned. So their determination or the uh, what we can say, their nishchay that I will do this only happens in their dreams. But in reality, when they wake up, the determination is lost. So that is where their determination is actually it is showing that it is lack of determination, that they are not determined. They will just procrastinate. They will keep thinking that yes, yes, we will do. I'm very determined to do. So they will only speak, not do anything. Or they will sometimes not even speak. Their determination happens only in their dream. And then when they wake up, it is finished. So that is how the determination is not that great. So now Krishna explains the happiness in three modes. So let us look at the happiness in three modes in next four verses, 36, 37, 38, and 39. Sukham tvidanim trividham shunu me bharatarshava abhyasad ramate yatra dukkhantam cha nigacchati yattad agre vishamiv pariname mrutopamam तत्सुखम सात्विकम प्रोक्तम आत्मबुद्धि प्रसादजम विषयेन्द्रिय संयोगाद दत्त विषो विषयेन्द्रिय संयोगाद यत्तद अग्रे मृतोपमं परिणामे विषमिव तत्सुखम राजसं स्मृतम् यदग्रे चानुबन्धे च सुखम मोहनम आत्मना निद्रालस्य प्रमादोत्थम तत्तामसम उदाभृतम्.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. O best of Bharata, now please hear from me about the three kinds of happiness by which the conditioned soul enjoys and by which he sometimes comes to the end of all distress. That happiness, which is derived from the contact of the senses with their objects and which appear like nectar at first but poison at the end, is said to be nature of passion. And that happiness which is blind to the self-realization, which is delusional from beginning to end, which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion, is said to be nature, to be the nature of ignorance.
Yeah.
There is no.
No, that's enough, Rosh. 39. Okay. So here in these four verses, the Lord is explaining the happiness in three modes. Now, happiness, we would have thought that, okay, happiness is happiness. And how can that be in three modes? But the Lord has very nicely explained that how it begins and how it ends. And that is how you can understand whether they are in goodness, passion, and ignorance. So the mode of goodness, happiness, which somebody would have thought that in goodness it will be happiness in the beginning and happiness in the end. But it is not like that. The Lord says, like poison in the beginning and nectar in the end. It requires sadhana, practice, and it awakens one's to self-realization. With the second point, we can understand why it is poison in the beginning. Because it requires strict practice, it requires sadhana. That is why it is difficult to do in the beginning. That is why it feels like poison in the beginning. Just like when somebody wants to actually build their health or build their muscles and they want to go to gym. So in the beginning, when they are going to the gym, like the first day, when they come back after 1 hour of going to the gym, and the next day morning, their body will be aching everywhere. And then they will think that, oh, this is so difficult. I will not go for 1 more week now because my body is paining so much. Because it is difficult in the beginning. But if somebody persists and consistently goes, then they can achieve what the goal that they want to achieve. Same thing with uh, spiritual practices as well. In the beginning, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra as well as following the four relative principles, taking the effort to try to understand the scriptures, read it, giving up the activities which are sense gratificatory, and then have association with devotees. All of this may little bit be difficult, because especially following four relative principles, if someone has the habit of eating meat, eating other things, and drinking alcohol, and giving that up is very, very difficult. But if they continue to do that in the association of devotees, even though it is poison in the beginning, it will be nectar in the end. Their result will be good, and they will get the happiness which is in goodness. And that requires consistent sadhana, consistent practice. And this practice will awaken their self-realization. Remember now the previous verse, it was mentioning about the mode of passion person is focusing on dharma, artha, kama. It didn't mention moksha, but here it is mentioned that it will awaken one's self-realization, which is kind of a moksha. So the person in goodness is going to actually reach that goal. And of course, when we go to pure goodness, we will go beyond moksha as well, and we will get Krishna prema, which is the even higher than moksha. So the happiness in mode of passion is opposite to goodness. It is immediately giving pleasure. So someone is drinking alcohol, someone is eating meat, their taste is getting immediately satisfied, and they are thinking that, oh, it is nectar. So it is nectar in the first, but poison at the end. The result is not going to be good. So that is why it is like this. It is in mode of passion, and it arises from the contact of the senses and sense objects. So when the senses come in contact with sense object, there is immediate pleasure. There is preyas. It is preyas. It is not long-term shreyas. It is not a long-term beneficial. It is immediately beneficial or immediately giving some pleasure. But that kind of happiness is of no use. We are getting some satisfaction now, but then it will be poison in the end. What about the mode of ignorance happiness? It is blind to self-realization. It is actually going in the opposite direction, as we were seeing the understanding where the person was actually striving to go in the wrong direction. So same, the person who's in mode of ignorance is blind to self-realization. It is delusion from beginning to end. So it is poison in the beginning, poison in the end. And it arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion. So their happiness is only they will understand how they are getting happiness in ignorance. Sometimes we also understand, right? We want to sleep many, many hours. So that time we can understand that we are striving for happiness in ignorance. If you are striving for whatever your standard sleep, which is whatever 6 to 8 hours, and then if you are going beyond that, then we are trying to get happiness in mode of ignorance, which is blind to self-realization and which is delusion from beginning to end. So the Lord Shri Krishna is mentioning, I have put a slide here, but as a change. Happiness in goodness requires practice, sadhana, and control of mind and senses. So we saw in passion, there was no control of mind and senses. The pleasure we were getting based on like when the senses are coming in contact with sense objects. And it was in ignorance, it was completely opposite to the self-realization. So happiness in goodness requires practice, sadhana, and control of mind and senses. That is why it is difficult in the beginning, but nectar in the end. So we should strive to follow these directions and the regulations which Srila Prabhupada has given to us. Following the four relative principles, waking up early in the morning and then chanting our japa, then reading scriptures, all of those which may be difficult to do in the beginning, but we should keep doing it, and we will get the result, the nectar in the end. Okay. So here we can see now that we have seen quite a lot of things which are in different modes. So let us look at some connection between these. So we saw the knowledge in three modes. So I'm actually just taking a goodness example. We are not taking the passion and ignorance example, but we'll just see from the goodness example how there is a theme in these characteristics that the Lord has given. So we saw the knowledge in goodness the person who is in knowledge of in knowledge in goodness, he understands that we are not this body, we are spirit soul. Also, he understands that there is super soul within each body. So he has the understanding of spirit soul and the super soul. And of course, the understanding of body is also there. So his actions will be regulated. So because he understands that I am not this body, so he will not indulge in the material actions. He will actually regulate his actions uh, based on the scriptures. And such a worker will be very detached, and he will be devoid of false ego. Detached because now he understands that he is not the matter. So why he should be attached to the matter? So that's why he's detached. And he's devoid of false ego because he understands the super soul is there. And super soul is the main doer. So why I should claim the credit for it? So he's devoid of false ego. So he knows about the super soul. And such person's understanding will be, because it is based on scriptures, he knows what to do and what not to do. And his determination will be unbreakable to do those things which are to be done and which are avoid things which are not to be done. And that is why his happiness, because he's actually trying to do all of this, in the beginning it may be difficult for him, but in the end he will be successful. In the end, he will be very happy. So there is like this theme, even though there are many things that the Lord is explaining. So it is a homework for all of you to also see what is there mentioned in the mode of passion, and see, are you able to see some connections between these things which are mentioned in passion and also the things which are mentioned in ignorance. And that is how it it will start making sense for that what the Lord is explaining, all of these different things, austerity. So I haven't actually taken the example of austerity or whatever here, which was mentioned earlier in the previous chapters. Food, charity, all of that you can actually see. You can put all of the characteristics of uh, or symptoms of person who's in mode of goodness together, and it will all start making sense. Okay. So now the next section, the Lord starts explaining about Varnashrama Dharma. The reason is because all of these things which are mentioned in three modes, somebody will ask that how do I actually come out of these three modes? And is there a way to do it? So the Lord is explaining that by following the Varnashram Dharma, which is Varnashram Dharma is nothing but Guna Karma Vibhagasha. Lord has said in the fourth chapter, Chatur Varne Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha, that these Varnas are based on the Guna and Karma. So the three modes of material nature which are there within us, depending on which mode is prominent and what karma we are doing, Guna and Karma. So based on that psychophysical nature, the particular Varna is there. So the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So the now Lord is explaining the characteristics of each of the Varna. So we'll read verse from verse number 41 to 44, which will explain these characteristics. Varnashram Dharma's characteristics. So let us go through 41 to 44. Brahmana Kshatriya Vimsham Shudranam cha Parantapa Karmani Pravibhaktani Swabhava Prabhavairgunai Shamo Damastapah Shaucham Shantir Arjavameva cha Jnanam Vidnyanam Astikyam Brahma Karma Swabhavajam Kshauriyam Kshauriyam Tejo Dhrutir Daksham Yuddhe chapyalayanam Danam Ishvara bhavascha Kshatram karma swabhavajam Krushi goraksha vanijjam Vaishya karma swabhavajam Paricharyatmakam karma Shudrasyapi swabhavajam. Yes, go ahead, Sevakash Prabhuji.
Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaisyas, Shudras are distinguished by the qualities born by their own nature in accordance with the material modes of chastisement of their enemies. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the natural qualities of work for the Kshatriyas. Farming, cow protection, and business are the natural work of the Vaisyas. And for the Sudra, there are labor and services to others. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So the qualities of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra are mentioned here. So first, in 18.42, the Lord is explaining the qualities of a Brahmana. So there are 9 qualities which are mentioned: peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. So here, Shama and Dhamma is mentioned. Shama means control of mind, and Dhamma means control of senses. So Shama means control of mind is stopping the desire itself. Before the desire comes of enjoyment, they try to control, the Brahmana tries to control that. And Dhamma means even if the desire comes, they try to control the senses and not indulge the senses into that desire. That is the Shama and Dhamma. So all of these things which you see here, peacefulness, these are qualities which are basically internal qualities. So Brahmana's work is mainly to cultivate these qualities and become a role model for others and become a teacher for them. So that is Brahmana. So develop qualities, be a role model, and then teach these qualities to others. So that is why they have to cultivate these. Because if they want to actually teach to the world, if they do not have these qualities, how will people develop those qualities? So that is why the acharya is first they have to actually implement in their life, and then they teach others. So the brahmanas have to be like that. They have to cultivate the good qualities, and just by coming in contact with them, people should feel that there is something different about this person, and they would be ready to follow such a person, and that is a brahmana. Brahmana is not just by some external appearance or by birth. Brahmana's job is quite difficult. They have to develop these internal qualities. And then when they develop these internal qualities, other people will get inspired from them and they will accept them as teacher and learn those from them. Now, going to Kshatriyas. What is the quality of a Kshatriya? There are 7 qualities which are mentioned: heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership. Now, all of these qualities are required for governing the people. If there are so many people around them, they have to be actually be able to protect them. So that is why there is that heroism required, and then courage in the battle is required. So all of that is required. Generosity is required because they will be taking taxes from the people. But once they have taken the taxes, how they are actually utilizing that money? Are they using it for themselves, or utilizing them for the welfare of others? That is where the generosity is there. Courage in battle is mentioned here. Courage in battle is required because Like you can see in case of Arjuna or even Duryodhana in this case, it is not all of these are their main warriors. Karna, Arjuna, Drona, Bhishma, or here Bhima, Yudhishthira, Nakul and Sahadev and Arjuna, all of them are on the battlefield in front of the soldiers. Like they are not at the back of the soldiers somewhere or sitting inside some bunker like the current day the the military leaders may be actually protecting themselves, but the soldiers are on the battlefield. But in the past, it was not like that. The main warrior was leading from the front. They were, along with soldiers, they were also fighting on the battlefield. And they were also having that much courage to fight. And sometimes they will die. But that was okay for them because Kshatriyas had this the heroism, and they knew that if they actually fight and then die on the battlefield, still they will go to the higher planets, they will go to the heavenly planets. So, and in this verse especially, it is quite interesting that it is mentioned that the quality, one of the qualities, Ishvara Bhava. Ishvara Bhava, when we were looking at the divine and demoniac qualities, that Ishwaroham Aham Bhogi Siddhoham Balavan Sukhi. So this was mentioned for Danavas. It was not mentioned for divine, demoniac nature, it was mentioned. So here the Ishwar Bhava though is translated as leadership. So Ishwar Bhava is required for protection. So the same Ishwara Bhava can become negative when somebody is powerful and utilizing that power for their own benefit and to exploit others. Then it becomes a demoniac quality. But the same Ishwara Bhava, if somebody utilizes for protecting others and taking everyone towards the Lord somehow or the other, then that will become Ishwara Bhava, will become like a divine quality. So that is why in Kshatriyas, this quality is there for protection. So that Ishwara Bhava they should be using. And they have to be resourceful. They have to have like quite a lot of resources available, or they should understand how to access resources. So all of these qualities, if you see, are actually very good leadership qualities. That the leader should be courageous, they should be generous, they should be resourceful, they have to have determination, they have to have some power, they have to have some heroism to influence people, all of that. Now moving to Vaishyas, the three qualities are mentioned: farming, cow protection, and business. Krushi, Vanijya, and Goraksha. So Krishi means farming, Goraksha is cow protection, and Vanijya means business. So as you know, all the business people, Vaishya people, they would have these three businesses. Either they have farm and they are farming, they are having lots of cows, they are protecting them, and then using the milk and the milk products to sell and make Lakshmi, and then some business that they are doing. So Balaram is his weapon is a plow, and it is always carrying a plow on his shoulder. So he is actually showing by his own example that farming, Krishi Raksha is important. And Krishna is doing cow protection, Go Raksha. So they are actually showing to the world that how Krishi Raksha and Go Raksha are very important. So these two brothers are representing these two things, farming and cow protection. Whereas the Shudras, they have one quality which is mentioned, which is labor and service to others. So they are serving the other three varnas, the Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishya. And it is based on their nature. So because their nature is not of leadership, their nature is not to develop internal qualities, their nature is not into business or to do krishi or goraksha. That is why then what they can do is they can actually serve others and they can help these other three into doing the activities that they are doing. So none of these varnas are higher or lower. It is just by using those varnas, you can make progress towards Krishna. So purification can happen through these varnas. So that is what is mentioned by Lord Shri Krishna in the next 3 verses. Actually 4 verses, 45 to 48. So let us look at that section now. 45. स्वे स्वे कर्मण्यभिरता संसिद्धिं लभते नरः स्वकर्म निरता सिद्धिं यथा विन्दन्ति तच्छृणु यतः प्रवृत्तिर्भूतानां येन सर्वमिदं ततं स्वकर्मणा तमभ्यर्च्य सिद्धिं विन्दन्ति मानवा श्रेयान् स्वधर्मो विगुणा परधर्मात् स्वनुष्ठितात् स्वभावनियतं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम् सहज कर्म कौन्तेय सदोषम् अपि न त्यजेत् सर्वारम्भा हि दोषेण भूमेन अग्निरिवावृतः. Theokrash Prabhu, your hand is still up, or was that from the past? Okay. Then Mahendra Prabhu, you can read, and the next one, Sannyas Prabhu, you can.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. By following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done. By worship of the Lord, who is source of all beings and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So the Lord is explaining here that how the Varnashram Dharma can purify us. First of all, he is saying that anyone can become perfect by following the duties of his work. So it is not only that the Brahmanas can actually become perfect. Even Shudras can become perfect by following the duties of his work. And one can become perfect by doing all the duties of his respective Varna for the Lord's pleasure. So this is the secret. Like when you are doing Varnashram Dharma or the duties as per your particular nature or as particular Varna, what it has to be done, how it is to be done, it has to be done for pleasure of the Supreme Lord. So if you are actually focusing on the Supreme Lord and then doing your duty and offering your activities to Him, then you will become purified slowly. And it is mentioned that the Lord is mentioning that better to engage in one's own occupation. So this especially this 47th verse. If you note it down and you can check this afterwards, this verse is exactly or almost similar to verse 3.35. So 3.35 in Bhagavad Gita and 18.47. There are only two verses are like this, which is 9.34 and 18.65, where the verses are very similar, and this 3.35 and 18.47. So you can understand that this message is so important for the Lord that he is repeating that Manmanao Bhav Mad Bhakto is also repeated, as well as this, that it is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. It's quite interesting that he has repeated this verse, that he's asking us to focus on, depending on what our varna is, depending on that, you should actually accept an occupation and continue to do the duty instead of accepting somebody else's occupation and perform it perfectly. Why it is mentioned? Because you may think that I will be able to do some other activity perfectly, but the problem is that your nature is not that. If your nature is of a Vaishya, and if you try to perform a Brahmana's duty, then you will bring that business mentality in Brahminical activities. So when you are teaching to others, you will actually automatically come up that, oh, this is my fee, and for this it will be charged like this. But that is not how the Brahmana should be. Brahmana should be just accept whatever the students are giving to him. They are okay with austerity and they are okay with poverty. But whereas the Kshatriya and Vaishyas are not like that. They require comfort. So they can't remain too much in austerity or too much in poverty. So if you try to imitate somebody else's work, which is not your nature, then you will create quite a lot of chaos in the society, which is what is happening currently, right? Everyone is trying to do any other work. So, and then Lord Shri Krishna has given this example that even the fire, which is considered pure, that is also covered with smoke. Similarly, every duty has its own difficulty. But when we are doing your own duty, grass may appear green on the other side. We may think that, oh, I'm doing this work and there are so much difficulties here. I'm trying to become a Brahmana, but the Brahmanas have to wake up early. They have to actually be austere. They have to actually have Shama and Dama, and then wake up early, do all of those things. So it is quite difficult. Let me try to become a Kshatriya. But Kshatriya has to fight on the battlefield, and they may die sometimes while fighting. They have to actually be heroic, and to develop that, the fighting spirit, they have to even fight with tigers, lions, and then they are allowed to hunt. Basically, the Kshatriyas are allowed to hunt. That is how they actually develop their skills. So there are faults there as well, and every occupation will have its own fault. And we wouldn't actually be understanding those faults when we are not doing that work. We may actually just look at the fault of our occupation. The reason why the Lord has repeated this verse is to actually give that message to Arjuna that you are a Kshatriya. You have to actually focus on fighting. Don't try to be a sannyasi and go to Himalaya giving up everything, because because of your Kshatriya nature, you will not be able to do that other activity properly. So that is why you should focus on your duty, but do the duty for Lord's pleasure, and that is how you will be free from the reactions. So the important understanding here is one can become perfect by doing all the duties, like any duty that we have of our respective varna, we can do it and we can become perfect. The only condition is we have to do it for Lord's pleasure. And if we do it like that, we can make progress. Okay, let's move on. We can take few more verses. Verse number 49 now. Asakta buddhi sarvatra jitatma vigata spruha naishkarmya siddhim paramam sannyasena adhigacchati. Let's do this one. Yes, Sannyas Prabhu, please go ahead.
One who is self-controlled and unattached and who disregards all material enjoyments can obtain my practical practice of renunciation, the highest perfect stage of freedom from reaction. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So in this section, thank you, Prabhuji. So in this section now, which is coming up from this 49th verse to around 55, Krishna is giving confidential knowledge where he is going to take us from Nishkam Karma Yoga to Jnana Yoga to Ashtanga Yoga. So here this verse is actually transitioning from Nishkam Karma Yoga to Jnana Yoga. So how this is happening is the Lord is saying that one who's self-controlled and completely unattached can engage in Jnana Yoga. So the practice of renunciation is they can engage in Jnana Yoga and can obtain highest perfect stage of freedom from reaction. And then such people can practice renunciation of action itself. So renunciation of result, from there they can move to renunciation of action. So Nishkam Karma Yoga to Jnana Yoga they can mention. And then such people, they can even go to the stage of Brahman, and that is the transition from Jnana Yoga to Ashtanga Yoga, which is mentioned in the next 4 verses, which we'll read together. Siddhim Prapto यथा ब्रह्म तथाप्नोति निबोध मे समासेनैव कौन्तेय निष्ठा ज्ञानस्य या परा बुद्ध्या विशुद्धया युक्तो धृत्यात्मानं नियम्य च शब्दादीन् विषयान् त्यक्त्वा रागद्वेषो व्युदस्य च विविक्तसेवि लघुभाषी यद्वाक् कायमानसः ध्यानयोगपरो नित्यं वैराग्यं समुपाश्रितः अहङ्कारं बलं दर्पं कामं क्रोधं परिग्रहं विमुच्य निर्ममः शान्तो ब्रह्मभूयाय कल्पते. Yes, Pamendra Prabhuji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. O son of Kunti, learn from me how one who has achieved this perfection can attain to the supreme perfectional stage, Brahman, the stage of highest knowledge, by acting in the way I shall now summarize. Being purified by his intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the object of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred, one who lives in a secluded place, who eats little, who controls his body, mind, and power of speech, who is always in trance, and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things, free from false proprietorship and peaceful, and such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. A lot of requirements has been given here. So many things which are mentioned one after another, for coming to the stage of Brahma Bhuta platform, the platform of Brahman. So this is the formula 50 to 53, very simple formula. How to achieve Brahman. Let us look at what the Lord has said. First of all, the person has to have controlling the mind with determination. So the mind needs to be controlled with determination. Intelligence needs to be then purified, giving up the sense objects, freedom from attachment and hatred, and they have to live in a secluded place. Has little, they eat little and control the body, mind, and power of speech. And they have freedom from all bad qualities born of material conceptions. So, which is false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things, and false proprietorship. And they are always in trance and detached. Thus, one achieves the supreme peace. So, the supreme peace is not very easy to achieve. The Brahman platform, if you actually go this step by step process of Nishkama Karma Yoga, actually Sakam Karma Yoga first, then Nishkam Karma Yoga, then you do Jnana Yoga, then you do Ashtanga Yoga. This step by step process will take like lots of births, because you are doing the purification slowly, one after another, one stage after another, and you are mainly focused, and you're trying to do it based on your own endeavor. But whereas the Bhakti Yoga process, which we will cover in the next session, we will see that how Krishna has given a simple formula for that. And by doing it, because we get the mercy from the Lord and his devotees, that is why automatically all of these things happen. It is not that we don't require the control over mind or the intelligence doesn't have to be purified. All of that needs to be done, but the process is much simpler to achieve the absolute truth. Because we are not focusing on Brahman, but we are focusing on Bhagavan. So we'll take one more verse and then we will finish. 54. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Na Shochati Na Kankshati Samah Sarveshu Bhuteshu Madbhaktim Labhate Param. Yes, Vidushi Mataji.
One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me.
Thank you. So this Brahma Bhuta stage, what is the characteristics that this person, I'm not sharing the screen. Yeah, at this person, Brahma Bhuta stage, he's fully joyful. Brahma bhuta prasannatma, so fully joyful. Na shochati na kangshati, he never laments nor desires. And his samasarveshu bhuteshu, he is equally disposed towards every living entity. So that person is on Brahma bhuta stage. And such person then finally mad bhakti labhate param, then attains pure devotional service unto me. So the person who's actually going this step-by-step ladder, which is from Sakam Karma to Nishkam Karma to Jnana Yoga to Ashtanga Yoga, it is not that automatically he's going to go back to Godhead. So for him to go back to Godhead as well, he need to finally get to the stage of bhakti. So from Ashtanga to he has to go to that higher level of bhakti. So the idea is that why actually go this ladder one step by step. Srila Prabhupada and our scriptures are giving that we can just take a elevator and we can directly go from kind of nishkama karma that we are doing, but which is then we are offering everything to the Supreme Lord, so that becomes sadhana bhakti, and then we can directly go to sadhana bhakti, bhakti to bhava bhakti to prema bhakti, like that. Of course, the other stages are there, ruchi, asakti, all of those. But that is the stage, that is the elevator that we can take. From beginning, we are on the bhakti process. Even if it is a sadhana bhakti, it is still bhakti. So that is how we can finish for today, and the remaining chapter we will cover next week. Anyone wants to ask any questions, have some reflections that he wants to share, or any comments, or any summary points that you want to cover? Yes, Aparna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Once again, an amazing lecture. I just have one question, Prabhuji. You explained something called Ishvara Bhava. Prabhuji, I could not understand. Yeah, I couldn't understand that properly. Could you please explain it one more time? Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
Ishvara Bhava. Actually, Ishvara means to control. Ishwar is actually a controller. So when we were actually looking at the divine and demoniac nature, that time as well, for the demoniac person, it was saying that he is thinking Ishwaroham. He is a Ishwara, Aham Bhogi, Siddhoham Balavan Sukhi. So the demoniac person was saying that I am Ishwara, I am a controller. So there it was actually used in the negative sense that somebody who's not a controller but thinks that they are controller, he is a demoniac person. But I was mentioning here that Ishvara Bhava is mentioned as one of the good quality of a Kshatriya. And Srila Prabhupada has translated here the Ishvara Bhava as leadership, because this is in a positive sense of Ishvara Bhava. So people who are leaders, they are in a way controlling or influencing other people to go in a particular direction because they are leading, right? Leader means there are some followers, that's why he is leader. So he's
Yes,
leading his
Prabhuji.
followers in a particular direction. So they are controlling them and taking them in a particular direction. And that is leadership, but that is also controllership. So the positive aspect of controlling is leadership. The negative aspect of controlling is exploitation. So the demoniac people, where the Ishwar Bhava was mentioned, is actually exploitation. And for a Kshatriya, when the Ishwar Bhava is mentioned, for a good Kshatriya, that is like leadership and protecting the people. Is that making sense?
Yes, Prabhuji, 100%. Thank you for that. So, Prabhuji, can we say that Ishvara Bhava is not an undesirable trait in a Kshatriya, but rest of the Varnas, be it Brahmana, Vaishya, or Shudra, if they develop Ishvara Bhava, that is like that falls under demoniac nature, Prabhuji? Is that true?
Not necessarily, because if you see the Brahmanas as well, they are leaders in a way. So they are not protecting their resources, like people's resources or people's bodies or whatever from that perspective. But of course, some Brahmanas, because they have this superpowers that they get based on their Brahminical nature and Brahminical powers that they have, so they can actually protect and curse as well. So all of those things are there, but not considering that. Brahmana is also a teacher. So if a teacher is there, the teacher also requires some leadership. But it is not mentioned in Brahmana's quality because their leadership comes from their example, role modeling. So because they are developing these internal qualities, automatically people follow them because of their qualities. So there is some following which is there, but they do not want, like they do not have a desire to become a teacher. They will not advertise themselves as that I am the teacher, so please come. So people, the students, they get inspired that, oh, I want to actually go and learn from this Brahmana. So that is how they become teachers, like those Brahmanas become teachers. So the Ishvara Bhava may be there, like some part of it will be there into other um, Varnas as well. Shudras will not have those much. And when we are talking about these Varnas, we are talking about um, like these qualities. When we are talking about the Brahmanas have these qualities and Kshatriyas have these qualities, we are talking about this pure Brahmana, pure Kshatriya. But as we know, we are actually a mixture of various modes. That
Yes,
we will
Prabhuji.
not be having pure goodness, like only goodness is there. So Brahmanas are considered to be in goodness. The Kshatriyas are considered in passion. The Vaishyas are considered a combination of passion and ignorance, and the Shudras are considered in the mode of ignorance. So it is not that somebody is completely in ignorance, somebody is completely in goodness or passion. They are having mixed modes. So even though it is mentioned that the Ishwar Bhava is a quality of a Kshatriya, and that quality may be visible in other Varnas as well, but it is not their main quality. The main quality should you can see mainly in Kshatriyas. Is that making sense,
It
Mataji?
does, yeah, it does make sense. Thank you, Prabhuji. So precisely, can we say that the ability to influence, the ability to cast influence can be called as Ishvara Bhava, Prabhuji?
Yeah, leadership quality can be considered, can be called Ishvara Bhava.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Any other reflections, comments, or summary points from others, or a question? Yes, Sanyas Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, such a nice
Then
class, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, how to identify our dharma, like our vritti? Like he says that you should not follow someone else one. You have to follow
very
your
good
dad
question.
and follow.
That is where the Lord is explaining, right? That what are the characteristics of goodness, passion, ignorance for all these chapters. So there is also a questionnaire which is prepared uh, by a devotee, which, if you remember, we were using in our Journey of Self-Discovery programs. So you can actually answer those questions, and in the end, it will give you a score that this is your percentage of goodness, this is passion, this much is ignorance. So this is actually quite interesting that if you see it in the beginning of Journey of Self-Discovery, you start, you will have a score, and after 1 or 2 years of doing it, you may have a different scores, which shows that your goodness increases. So these are some factors which are available like this, where we can actually understand which mode we are in at this point. And then that is how we can understand that, okay, I have predominantly mode of passion. I have predominantly like a combination of passion or ignorance. I have a combination of goodness and ignorance. All of these combinations will be visible, and based on that, we can understand what to do. But for more details, now very soon, Her Grace Urmila Mataji is coming to New Zealand, and she's currently, if you remember last time as well, Mataji was here and she was mentioning she has done these books on identifying your own uh, varna. So she has developed a curriculum where you can actually undergo a course with Mataji and look at the books that she has done, and then you can actually be a practitioner who can help other people to choose their careers. So when she is going to come here next time to Wellington, she is going to conduct that course. I think she is coming in June or July. I have the dates, and she has already sent me a poster, but because it was so early in the time, so I haven't yet shared that poster with everyone. But very closer to the time, I'll share that. So definitely, when she is here, you can ask that question to her, and she will give more insights. But best is to actually attend her course.
Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay.
And so nicely here, Lord Krishna is explaining everything, the varnas, and then again it's coming after Nishkama Karma, and then coming to Bhakti. It shows how what is he trying to teach us way to grow, no, Prabhuji?
Yeah, absolutely. This is like a summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita now. So all the things that he has explained before, also some more, because all these three modes of material nature, he had not explained those in detail like this before, that the happiness in three modes, understanding, then determination, all of those things were not mentioned before. But all the things which were mentioned before, plus more, he's giving in this chapter.
Yes.
Okay, any summary points that anyone wants to share, and then we can finish? Yes, Surananda Prabhu and few from Mahendra Prabhu will take, and then we'll close.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, nice class. One takeaway point from today is Krishna has mentioned so many qualities, ignorance and passion especially. So I didn't realize these are coming under that, and so it really helps me to improve. And yeah, the point to take away is we should find faults within ourselves first and rectify, not looking into others.
Perfect, Prabhu. Thank you. And I'm just sharing the knowledge which is given by Lord Shri Krishna, and of course by Srila Prabhupada. So that is why that knowledge is sounding good, because it is coming from the right source. Yes, Mahendra Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have got question as well, maybe at the end. But in terms of the understanding today, I guess started really well with the difference between the knowledge and understanding. Was a little bit confused at the start, but when you gave example, it was like a bit better to understanding it. So when the knowledge is there, then we can understand as well. So when you have good understanding, then you know how, when, and where to use it. So you give a nice example of a spirit soul. Knowing you yourself is a spirit soul, that's a knowledge. But after knowing the spirit soul, how you utilize it, like what kind of understanding is whatever scriptures you have known. So you have gone through Bhagavad Gita, how you utilize it, how you follow through all those teachings. So that's understanding. So that's really good to know. And based on that, case, one of the teachings you also mentioned that happiness in goodness requires practice, sadhana, and control of mind and senses. It is difficult in the beginning, but a nectar at the end. So which is fantastic. Prabhuji, may I ask question if
Yeah,
we have
sure,
got
Prabhu.
time? Yeah. Prabhuji, this Varnashrama, this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So those qualities, really good to know the qualities now. But in today's life, how we can relate it to our day-to-day job, and like it's not by birth, right? We have, I guess, discussed this several times as well. But by the time we understand the quality, by the time we, try to follow and try to go into, on the better side of it, isn't it a bit difficult? Like, at least for my understanding, it is very difficult. So maybe can you guide something on this, Prabhuji, please?
So I haven't understood your question completely. What you're saying is that at the time of birth,
So the duties, whatever we have got duties, like based on the qualities and based on whatever, like, this previously it was very straightforward, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Shudra, and Vaishya, whatever duties they were assigned to it. Now here, when we mention that, better to engage in one's own occupation, even though imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly.
hmm.
So how for a Kshatriya or how for a Vaishya to know whether I'm good in this particular, in another side of this Varnashrama, and how we can relate it to today's life as well. Yeah.
Okay. So it is not that this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra qualities uh, uh, are there only in India or only in the past, and it is not now. So these are eternally present everywhere. Whether you go to America, you come to New Zealand, or it was 5,000 years ago or 5,000 years after now as well. So you will see that this kind of qualities, they are visible in other people. So some people, we can see that some people are really good and they are good in leadership. For example, the previously the leaders were Kshatriyas, and we were calling them Kshatriyas. But the leaders now are called politicians, right? Because they are finally what they are trying to do is they are trying to lead the people, lead the country, lead a particular state. So those are people having that particular desire to do that. And you can see politicians are everywhere. And not only politicians, but also somebody who's like a brigadier or a colonel or a commander in army. So they have this courage to go to the battlefield and fight, and they are not like it is not everyone's cup of tea to go on the battlefield and have this courage that okay, I'm actually shooting these bullets, but one bullet can actually hit me and I will also die. It requires quite a lot of courage. So not everyone can do it. So those people who are able to do it, they will be able to take that kind of a role. So they will take that Kshatriya kind of role or leadership kind of role. Even in industries, you can see that there are some who are leaders. In any activity that you see, that you can see that there are some who are like leaders. For example, as the program manager or the project manager kind of roles, which are nothing but to control things and make it happen. It is making sure that leading people in a proper direction and get the success in the project that they want. And somebody may be a very good developer, but that same person cannot become over a period of time after 10 years, they cannot, it is not possible that all of them will can become a project manager because that nature is not there. So the Kshatriyas are like that. They have this automatic some leadership qualities, and the professions in the past and professions now may be a little bit different, but they will be leading people um, either in military or in politics or at the state level, country level, or even at the business level. Then some people will be business people. No matter what where they go, they will quickly start some business because that is what they are good at. So they are Vaishya mentality that is there, business mentality which is there. And doing business is not everyone's area. Some people fail miserably if they try to do business, isn't it? And some people it is very natural to them. So those people are always there. So business people, the military or the people leaders kind of people, plus the people who are interested in education and studies. So nowadays they will be professors or in IT terms they may be architects or whatever, like the solution architects or whatever, where they require something thinking, intelligent class, right? So they are intelligent class people who will always be thinking about, I want to study something, I want to learn something new, and I want to teach others. So that kind of people will always be there everywhere. And Shudras are the service kind of people. So there are like most of the people that we see around us, including many of us, we have this Shudra mentality. Shudra mentality is not something wrong, I'm saying. We actually take it because of this uh, Asuri varnashram that is there currently based on birth, and then there is exploitation of varnas by other varnas. So-called higher class is actually exploiting the other lower class. But these varnas are not considered lower or higher. For example, we are not saying that our legs are lower than our hands, or our head is higher than our heart. All of these are required for this body. If the head is not there, is it going to useful? No. If the heart is not there or hands are not there, our body cannot function properly. So that is why all four varnas are required in the social system, the social body, and they are all important. It is just the nature that people have, and based on that, they will keep all these four natures will always be there. And if we want to quickly figure out which modes that we are currently in, and automatically we can understand which predominant ability that we or the varna that we are in. If say suppose we take that test that I was mentioning earlier, if we find that around 60-70% it shows mode of goodness, say 20% passion and 10% ignorance, we can say predominantly we are in mode of goodness. So we have a lot of brahmanical qualities, kind of. If we have predominantly mode of passion, then we can say, oh, we have Kshatriya qualities. Predominantly, like we have a lot of passion and ignorance, then it is a Vaishya quality, and predominantly ignorance, then it is Shudra qualities. So all of these things can also help us to understand our own modes. But of course, as I was mentioning earlier, Mataji is coming. She is expert in this field, so she will have much more insights. So we will all learn from her when she is here further.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So
Okay.
it's very important for one to understand own qualities
Yes.
and then do the jobs or duties assigned based on it, which is very hard. At least like maybe in a one life cycle or multiple life cycles. Don't know how much time it's gonna take. Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay,
Hare
we'll
Krishna.
stop here. Yes, Prabhu, you're trying to say.
Prabhuji, can you share that question and answers questions?
Also, yeah. Okay. I'll post it into Wisdom of Bhagavad Gita group.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Fine.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Thank
Srimad
you.
Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.